Welcome to the first episode of Boze Knows What's Up. This is basically a Ball Hog production remix. First of all, shout out to everyone that's ever listened to an episode of the Ball Hog podcast. I really love doing it. It was just time to change things up a little bit. I want to have more guests for one. I want to have more guests. And the Ball Hog podcast was basically just your boy, just ranting. But still, I want to talk about hot topics, things that's going on. You'll still have majority of me. You'll also have a lot of sports gambling. Because I mean, that's honestly, that's the only reason I got into it. Like sports gambling is the best gambling, and it's not even close. And then breaking down college football with you guys this episode, the homie, fellow degenerate gambler, CJ Sullivan will be in the house later with my guy, Chris Mayfield producing. I think betting over unders on before the season is the best gambling for sports gambling. The week-to-week spreads are can be hit or miss. Vegas is amazing. I'm just as amazing. I ain't more amazing. I'm just as amazing. But I've always been a gambler. My family has been gamblers throughout. Like, they taught me how to count with a deck of cards. So it's just in me. I'll tell you one of the more fucked up gambling moments in my life. Me and my homie, college buddy, best friend on the planet, we would living in Wisconsin, and we drive up to Ho Chunk Casino, Wisconsin Dells, and we got handed to it one time. We had no money. We had no money except for the change in his jar. And we were going back to Milwaukee from the Dells. We made it back to Madison, and we had the change in this little cup holder in his car. And no money on his credit cards. Credit cards were maxed out, and we had $2, and we were on empty. There's no way we could make it back from Madison, Wisconsin to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is an hour and a half for all you listeners out there. And I took the $2, and I went into the gas station and promptly bought a scratch off. I bought a scratch off. The look on my homie's face when I came back with a scratch off, like it couldn't be anger because he was shocked, stunned that $2 was not going to get us. We were already beyond E. That would have maybe moved us to E. It did not have an hour and a half for $2 worth of gas. And this was when gas was way cheaper than it is now. But we're not going to get there with 1 gallon of gas, which gets you 25 miles. We might have been able to make it to Jefferson, Wisconsin. Shout out to Jefferson. Anyway, after the shock wear off and I'm cracking up, I scratch off the $2 ticket. And I know you guys are like, oh, you about to say you came up. Nah, dog. L's. It's a scratch off, and it's 1. If you bought $20 worth of scratch off, you might get $4 back. You might. If you bought $20 worth of scratch off. I bought 1 $2 ticket and got nothing. But I knew we were resourceful. I just believed in us. And he called his credit card company. I couldn't call my credit card company because my credit was so fucked up that I couldn't get credit. I have one of those credit cards where I had to put money, my own money up to get credit. You ever have one of those cards? I had to put $600 in to my MasterCard and then they charged me credit on that money. So they gave me a card, but it was my money that they were issuing me credit on just so I could try to build some credit. So I could not call them and say, can you guys give me some money, because it was my money and I used it all. But my homie called his credit card, just asked for a little $20 bump, a little $20 increase. They knocked it out in 10 minutes, and we's back on the road, baby. Can't be stopped. We can't be stopped. So yeah, that's probably my most craziest gambling moment. Out of all the crazy gambling moments in my life, that was easily. And I thought it was so fucking funny when I did it. It was just so funny. It was hilarious. Anyway, I promise to improve the lighting on this, by the way. So anyway, let's talk about what's going on before I bring out my guy, CJ. I think, like, everybody's, the shit in Maui is fucked up. Could have been preventable. I mean, these things, bridges collapse, could have been preventable. Wildfires, more than likely, could have been preventable. It's going to happen, much like a school shooting. It's going to happen again, where some devastating shit could have been prevented if people would have just been on top of their game. But you've been sitting there taking the bridge 50, 60 years, you might think, this bridge is good, even though the bridge ain't good. And so you forget to go through the normal checklist. I mean, Maui was set on fire. And if you see pictures, you would think that the sirens would go off. They ain't even released the sirens, yo, to tell people our city is burdened. So huge mistakes there. I can't. That's devastating to have a home and then you don't have a home. That's fucked up. I won't talk about that. I don't want to talk about Trump and his 4 indictments. This is the only thing I'll say. When he goes to prison, that's when I believe he'll go to prison. In my life, I have been conditioned that certain people, no matter how heinous the crime, don't do the time. And other people, that no matter how small the crime, will always get the time. So the indictments, slam dunk case, Dr. J on a fast break, rocking the baby, easy peasy. Until it happens, I don't believe it's happening. It's just me. It's just me. Do I think it should happen? Of course. But will it happen? Nah, dog. If I'm a gambler, if I'm at the sports book and I get odds on that, come on. What else was fascinating to me was Ice Cube went on Tucker Carlson. Hear me out. Ice Cube went on Tucker Carlson. I apologize. I'm gonna work on my lighting. I promise to get this down. And he was talking about, how everybody makes things about race when it shouldn't be. And people are, a lot of people in the Black community feel like Ice Cube betrayed him. But I'll tell you this. Ice Cube is telling the truth. But hear me out. 2 things can be true. Nothing has to be absolute. Nothing just has to be black and white. 2 things can be true. You can make everything and anything about race when it shouldn't be, but also know that we got serious race problems in this country. Both things can be true. All you have to do is look up the numbers and tell that there's legit inequality among the races in this country. Like, numbers don't lie. Even if you skewer them, they don't lie like that. But also, everything that happens does not have to be about race. Both things can be true. The problem that I have with Ice Cube is, why say that fucking Tucker Carlson? Why go and share that to him? Who is his audience? Who is Ice Cube trying to reach out to? Why validate Tucker Carlson when, and regardless of how you feel about Tucker Carlson, you be pro Tucker Carlson or anti Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson had the #1 show on Fox News, and his head writer for a while was racist as fuck, and he's feeding viewpoints that Tucker Carlson used on the regular. Tucker Carlson also successfully argued after being sued. His lawyers argued, and this is all here. This is not made up. This is not opinions. I'm just telling you what it is. Boze knows. Tucker Carlson, lawyers, successfully argued that anyone who watches his show should know that this is not credible news. This is all just la 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 di da di da di da di da di da entertainment. You should not take it at face value, because anyone that's intelligent should realize this is not news. That's what his lawyers argued, to fight from being sued, and he won. Do I think that Tucker Carlson is a race baiter? I absolutely do. But take that, that's just my opinion, right? That is an opinion. I mean, I could throw out things, try to prove it as facts. I am just giving you the facts, things that Boze knows. So why go to him? Why not go someone equivalent like Jemele Hill? Why not Jemele Hill and her in that show? I'm bothered because Ice Cube was like, mainstream media cancel. He's like, Oprah didn't have me on anymore. Oprah ain't had a show in like 15 years. The View don't fuck with me no more. Cool. Oprah, I don't get really where you're coming from because Oprah ain't been around. But The View, maybe. That may be true. But if you go speak that truth from you, Q, why go there? Why are you on Joe Rogan, Bill Maher? Then you go to other, you might go to other blacks. They said, you're just talking hip hop. Why not go and be like, yo, Jemele, I want to reach out to you. Why not even go to somebody like Jon Stewart, who's very socially conscious? Go to that white dude. Those people that's in the know in these topics, and then say those things and let them counterpoint you. And then you counterpoint, and then Black community comes out like, oh shit, did you hear Cube on Jemele Hill? He was on point. But to go on Tucker Carlson, come on, dog. Come on, dog. And listen, for those of you who don't know, Ice Cube is the most underrated hip hop artist ever. I ain't saying he the best. I'm saying he's the most underrated. But him being on Tucker, disappointing. Disappointing. So anyway, this is Boze Knows. I want us to make money. 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 I'm currently on tour, as you know. I'm not just a podcaster. I'm not just a degenerate gambler, but make a living slanging jokes, son. Slanging them jokes, kid. So catch me on tour, and I'll be in Toledo at the Funny Bone beginning in September. I'm about to do a little Canada tour, so go on my website, kevinbozeman.com. See where I'm at in Canada. I'll be in Cincinnati. I will be in, Vegas. I'll be Michigan. I'm everywhere, dude. I'm everywhere. I tell you where I won't be anywhere for New Year's Eve. I'm done. About done with New Year's. About done with New Year's. About done with New Year's. I tell you why, man. Unless you're gonna pay me a grip, I'd rather just be chilling, dog. The people that goes to New Year's Eve shows, they ain't invested. Like they're doing something just to doing it. She's doing something. They're always trying to film you. They're always on their phone. They're preoccupied. They're drinking their little champagne splits, and they got their little fake ass bugles, and they just give me the week after, right? I'll break in New Year's with you January 7th, January 6th. Maybe not January 6th. Let's go. It's a touchy day in America. But get at me. Get at me in the new year. Anyway. All right. Let's make some money. Okay, cool.
Yo, this is absolutely my favorite thing about gambling is I think that the most money can be made is the long game. The over-unders for sure is your best chance of winning against Vegas. Because week to week, as the weeks goes along, the same information you're getting, Vegas is really getting. So you get a chance to start yourself off from scratch. They doing guesswork like you doing guesswork. And bringing it in is one of my favorite people and gamblers. Here's what I like about our first host, CJ Sullivan, is he's cut from my same cloth. Most people, if you look at sports shows, right, they always got a special dude for the special sport, where CJ and I probably, regrettably so, would be like, yeah, dude, I'll hop on the baseball, then I'll hop on the basketball, then I'll hop on the football, and then I'll do the college football, then the basketball. If you need me to do. So my guy, CJ Sullivan, is a degenerate gambler in every positive sort of way, here to make everyone money, because Boze Mutual still lives. We are here to make everyone money with our best over-unders, so maybe a Heisman pick, and then who we predict to be top 4 playoff teams. So, all right, first of all, my guy CJ has his podcast, Man in the Box, which is a gambling podcast. Super awesome. Check it out. Always check mine out first, but if you guys get an extra hour, run up in CJ's. And if he's doing better than me, always the goal here is to make money. Like, this is not right. It's not entertainment, dude. This is a lifestyle.
This is not for tobacco use only. This is, I mean, tail, get in there. And I love that intro. First of all, Bozeman, it's almost like, I'm sitting on an Australia Women's World Cup future that I'm looking to ship as we are down to just 6 teams left in the lady bracket.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Yeah. So if you are an obscure bettor and you have to put something on something, then Man in the Box is the podcast for you. If you don't know anything about it, but you just like, I'm gonna trust somebody, this is the guy. So let me ask you this, dude. Are you a fan? I can't believe that anybody is a fan of what's happening in college athletics right now. What's your take on the Big Ten and the SEC just devouring
It's amazing.
other conferences?
I mean, it's hilarious how they're finally like they're just saying fuck it. I mean, we are in it for all the money. I mean, there's just no. They used to at least try to put up a masquerade, like there's some traditions in college and amateur athletics. Make sure you study for that test. Now they're like, yeah, no, your conference, Hawaii,
Right.
you are now in the Big East. All right, you're flying. I mean, you were flying halfway around the world for a softball game.
How can you get mad at Penn State players
Yeah.
who's struggling in class when they have to
Right.
fly to Oregon
Yeah.
and then be
I know.
fly to Oregon the day before, then fly back on Sunday and be like, dude, how come you didn't study?
Man, you know what I like is San Diego State right now because they try to dip out of the Mountain West and get into the Pac-10, and then they're like, all right, we're just gonna sniff it out, and then Mountain West, all right, good, you're gone. Like, no, we didn't leave yet, and then the Pac-10 dissolved. Like, hey, can we come back? Like, well, yeah, no, we're kind of locking you up. All right, how about okay? Then they try to call up the last 3 teams left in the Pac-10 and get their own conference going, and they're like, yeah,
I
no,
know, right,
San Diego
right,
State, go
right,
find, you know.
How can you be considered a Power 5 conference
Right.
if Washington State is like your best program?
Well, I mean, that's what and I know. Well, I should say in the teams left. That's why the Pac-10 did dissolve. It was like Apple TV subscription basis. Who knows signing up? What are you going to sell these at kiosks at the mall? Like, yeah, you can sign up. You can see a Utah Arizona State game.
Yo, man, you want to get 50% off these AirPods?
Right. You'll get the Night Court reboot. You'll get Oregon State games. What the fuck are you talking about?
I get it. All right.
But yeah, it's pretty gross what's happening, but it is what it is.
Yeah, man. I love the fact that they was just like, listen, man, to your point, we get to show who we've really been about this whole time.
Mhm.
We've never cared about amateur athletics. It was just a gateway to make money. And now that this Neal deals are out, which I've said from day one, like they should have just right from the get-go, as soon as Ed O'Bannon sued the NCAA way back in the day when he was just like, you can't use my name and likeness.
Right.
And I'm out of
for a
credit.
Sega Genesis game, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. You can't use my name and likeness and not compensate me.
Right.
They should have been proactive. They could have created a stipend. Like, hey, you come to college, we put this much money away for you. And then each year you stay, we put more money in and you get your money tax-free once you're done with college. But they didn't do that. Now it's the Wild Wild West. And that's the game.
Now you got Iowa players putting $20 parlays against themselves. Against Texas. They're making emotional hedge bets and shit.
It's ridiculous.
Did you see that one? The Iowa State, he bet against them, and then they won. Then they won 37. There's a little emotional edge. I can respect that.
Listen,
for $20 too.
Iowa State is that perpetual 6.5, 7 win team.
Yeah.
But when your quarterback goes wrong, I mean, it's your quarterback.
No,
it's not special teams. The quarterback.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
He might have something to do with what happens in the game.
He might have.
That was my mom. That was my mom who made all those parlays.
Right.
That's what he tried to say.
Too funny. All right, so let's put some money in our people's pockets. Who is your number 5 best bet on the board for over unders in college football this year?
All right. Number 5, it's a big team, but I like this play a lot. You can shop around. I'm going with Clemson over 10. I've seen 9.5. It's heavily juiced, but I'm fine with the 10. They got they're obviously on a bounce back year. They're reloading. They had that quarterback.
Bounce back, by the way, means they won 10 games last year. That's
Right,
Clemson.
exactly. And that was a disaster for them.
Right.
For how bad they
Yeah.
look. And with their schedule, I mean, they can walk themselves, they just sleepwalk to 9 wins. And they only have to play for a couple. And all their tough games are all at home. Notre Dame, Florida State, North Carolina. And they play like 13. They brought in a new offensive coordinator, Garrett Riley from TCU. So he's going to bring some of that TCU offense. And already they have an NFL defense week in, week out. So
Right.
I don't know, and they're going to run, even if they get half of what TCU did with offense, just those running backs of Will Shipley and Phil Maffa, I think they're the best duo in the country. And that quarterback, he played a little bit in the bowl games. His name Cade Klopnick, whatever. He's a runner too. He's a dual threat, but he's fast. They never had a quarterback as fast as this guy is. And,
Yeah.
So this defense is loaded and angry. I just think, I mean, I don't see how they stay under 10 wins.
Yeah. When I looked at them, the only reason I didn't take them is because I was like, they feel like an 11-win team, but I could see them getting 10 wins. But if this is going to be my top 5 pick,
right?
Like, I'm not going to bet them and get a push. I'm all in or nothing. and Clemson is I can't really see a path for them getting under 10 wins.
Well,
but
that's
I
what I'm
see
saying.
The path of them getting 10 wins. And that's just where I was hung up at.
So I'm guaranteeing you not a loss. Let's talk about that.
Guarantee. Oh, there's nothing wrong with
you
it.
Know?
There's nothing wrong with it. Mine, however, I kind of feel the same way, but I'm going Penn State over 9.5 wins.
Yeah.
That hook. Listen, they got, to me, their defense is phenomenal. They got one of the best offensive lines, the best linebackers, best secondary. They got 2 running backs, I think, is going to the league, and they got a fantastic offensive line. The only 2 real losable games is Michigan and Ohio State. I think they split with them, and they get to 9.5 wins. I think they got to 9 or 10 wins last year, and they're much better than they were last year. I'm running Penn State over 9.5.
I'm loving Penn State. This might be the first year they have a better quarterback over Michigan and Ohio State coming into it.
Yeah, didn't they get a transfer?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think they're ready this year. They're ready to make that jump.
Number 4, homeboy.
Number 4, I really like this one. I like Texas A&M over 8. They this is a bounce back team for a team that is just loaded with talent. Now it's Jimbo Fisher. That's what you got to get around. He's the headline where you're like, how will Jimbo fuck this up? And I think they had their 5-star. They have nothing but 5-star recruits and 5-star talent up and down this roster. And then you have another year of them getting into it. So but they bring in Bobby Petrino, an offensive coordinator. I mean, how is this not a TV show? Petrino and Jimbo.
If people just take the fact that Bobby Petrino is legit, probably a piece of shit human being. He's a fantastic college coach.
I mean,
fantastic. You just got to get over the fact that he's probably not a good dude.
If you look up his personal stories and his personal thefts and all the mishaps he's done, and you read it and you're like, how is this guy still employed? That's how good of a coach he is.
That's how good of a coach
he is. He's got a mistress on the back of a motorcycle. He's lying about shit, about injuries in the hospital.
Will leave in the middle of the night on another team. Yes, he's a fantastic coach. He is fantastic
and
coach.
So they have, I think like Phil Steele, who's the college guru, has them at the 14th most talented roster in the country. And so for them to just get 8, and then I know like running back Ruben Owens, he's another 5-star they got coming in. And even though they were bad last year, 5 of their 7 losses, they had a bad year last year, were still by like 6 points or less. Like they lost a lot.
Just the talent alone.
Right.
The
absolutely.
talent alone.
So now you add Petrino in there with Jimbo Fisher. I love it. I like A&M to have a big year. So over 8, that should be no problem.
Yeah. Mine is I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm drinking Colorado and 3.5 wins.
I love that one.
So people are like, so Colorado was historically bad last year. But Deion Sanders legit came in and said, all y'all who was here, you need to make other plans.
Right. Yeah.
And he has poached from every he is the teams that they're playing against. The players that's on his team now wouldn't have considered going to play against the teams he's playing against. He is poached from every position and every team, and I believe he is a galvanizer. Whether he's a great X and O guy, who knows at this point? But just like you said, talent will get them 4 wins in a conference that don't even want to be together right now. So I'm going Colorado over 3.5 in the Pac-4 conference.
I love the Pac-4. I love a galvanizer. I love it. Head galvanizer.
Galvanizer.
And they over-adjusted with that 3.5 too. You're right. I mean, like they're saying, like, oh, it was a terrible team last year. It was 0-10. Great. What team? That team is gone.
Gone.
Dion took all of their cards. You know, you cannot get your access card, your security cards. You are not allowed in the building. And he brought in he literally like 80 new dudes.
And they're all competing, like they're going at each other, like they're going at each other like it's Alabama, and it's just a whole bunch of 5-star recruits that you forgot about because they all transferred. So yeah, I think they got a bunch of and that's what I want. I want dogs,
hungry dogs.
Just hungry dude. So,
was that
Colorado.
him who said that recently? Did Dion say that recently? He wants a defensive end that was like parentless and hungry, and he wants a quarterback that came from that was hilarious.
Right.
I want a starving defensive end. Well,
it's not a guy that you would want to send to the PTA meeting, but for a coach of the football team,
to galvanize, get him out there.
The galvanizer.
They just missed my list, by the way. Colorado.
Number 3.
Number 3, I'm going to go. I'm kind of close to your Penn State play with a slide lower there to Big Ten, and that's Wisconsin at 8.5. This one I like a lot. Obviously, Luke Fickell coming in there. There's excitement there finally. I mean, he's going to bring in the air raid. It's not going to be, I mean, it's the air raid offense. It's not going to be run and shoot Wisconsin. It's going to be a Wisconsin version of it. They still have Braylon Allen, who's a great running back, and Ches Malusi's like another backup running back. But with that schedule, and I got that quarterback from SMU, Tanner Mordecai, who's an amazing transfer portal for them. I feel like the transfer portal is so wide open, like going back and forth. But if you get the best player, you win. Kind of like a trade. Whoever gets the best player wins that transfer portal. Yeah, you might lose 20 guys, you get 10 guys, but if you get someone like that to run this offense, they brought also a receiver from USC, CJ Williams, who I like a lot. He's a 4-star guy. I mean, this offense is going to be completely different, and that division of the Big Ten's a joke. They're going to walk. I have a bunch of Wisconsin futures I like too. They're going to walk to the Big Ten championship game.
This is probably the first time ever that's been done by anybody outside of Tennessee, Nashville area. I'm going Vanderbilt over 3.5 wins.
Ooh.
Homeboy, they were a game away from making it to the bowls, and they running back like 15 of those cats. This ain't the Derek Mason Vanderbilts. No. These dudes are on the come up, and they got a chance to legit be. I'm gonna say that they're gonna cakewalk over the 3.5 wins because they got to get them early.
Okay,
they're gonna be 5, and by the first 6 games, they will be at 4 wins. I think they'll be minimum 4-2 because they got a cakewalk schedule. Vanderbilt won 5 games. This ain't 2-win Vanderbilt losing every game in conference. And some of the games they play tough. Over 3.5. I just like when dudes are young and they on the come up, and Vegas historically, pardon my dog because he's just like, I disagree with this bet.
I think he's supportive.
Right?
I love it.
It might be like
he's
that.
Like he asked if there's any alt. Is there any alt overs, Dad?
he might be like,
all over again.
He might be like, yo, you say they got some dogs in them?
Yeah, they got some dogs. Can we get some alt 5.5 or something?
I think that's the one time you can take advantage of Vegas. Vegas is still like, okay, they won 5 wins, but they also factor in like the history of Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And it's poor. And I think they're on the upswing. So I'm taking them over 3.5.
I like any ticket that's going to cash by Columbus Day. That thing is going to be binked come first week of October. I know because they start off easy. I know they start off versus Hawaii. They're like 17-point favorites in that game, and a couple. And I like that play a lot. I mean, you're gonna make me. I'm going to go ahead and write. I'm going to go ahead and write that down on the ledger. I got my clipboard because I bring the paper and the passion here. I'm going to go ahead and write that one, write a Vandy one down. You convinced me. That's all I needed to hear. Right, I'll follow Bozeman on that one. I love it.
Number two.
Number two, this is lock, stock, and barrel. Pitt over 6.5. It's a little juice at this point. It started off, you can get a decent now. Now it's like almost at like minus 180.
Dude, I'm gonna slightly cut you off because
Interject.
I was going to put Pitt at 6.5, but nowhere could I find them at 6.5. It is now moved to 7.
Hasn't moved to 7. Yeah,
it has moved to 7.
I have a 6.5.
But if
ticket.
you can find it at 6.5, it counts. It is a lock. I think, just like you said with Clemson, I think they are an easy 7 games. Keep going with your breakdown. Sell them.
Sure. Oh, I'll sell them. And I don't mind them at 7 either, by the way. They have, the schedule changes a little bit because there's no divisions now in the ACC, which is fun. That's the only downside of them. But they have depth and experience on both lines of scrimmage, which you need, obviously, in this college football for a team that won a bunch of games last year, won this amount of games last year. They're bringing all that back, but now they're bringing in, they went to transfer portal as well. They got a big-time quarterback, Phil Jarkovich, who's a legend in Pittsburgh, and he's there to right the ship. He was like one of those Pittsburgh high school legends. He spurned Pitt when he went to Notre Dame, and then he went to Boston College, kind of bounced around. Now he's returning home to Pitt, and they're expecting a huge year out of him. He's talented.
I'm with you on this. Here's the thing.
They were 9-4 last year.
Last year, yeah, with the bowl win, they got
with the bowl win, right?
That's important because last year
that is important. You're right.
I faded them because I was just like, hold on for a second. Pitt isn't the kind of program that can lose a first-string quarterback and then the best wide receiver,
right? And
then just come back and get you 9 wins, because they were like 8.5 and 9. It's like, I'm going under, and then they were like 4-4. I was like, phew. Then they win like 5 straight.
Then they run the table.
9 and 4. But when they got those 5 straight, I was just like, oh yeah, this next year they're my squad. But as soon as they move to 7, it's just like, I like them. I'm a bet them, but I just didn't put them in my top 5. Sure. But I don't think that I can't really see a path, besides injuries, of course, where they get under 7 wins. So I'm with you on there. My number 2, my God, Oklahoma State over 6.5.
Love it.
Hear me out, dude. He's a bit of a goofball, the coach.
Gundy.
A little bit, right? Mike Gundy. He is a bit of a goofball, but dude can coach. And I'm just one of those dudes who's just like, okay, I don't think that you guys are great, but if you in a conference and then you don't have to play arguably the 3 best teams in your conference.
Exactly.
You don't play Texas. You don't play TCU. You don't play Baylor. Like, okay.
Right. I mean, what's the problem?
Not even we get them at home.
Yeah.
You don't even play them.
Right.
So a dude that perennially gets 8 to 9 wins don't have to play arguably the 3 of the 4 best teams in conference. Yeah, dog. 7 plus all day. No brainer.
I'm with you on that. Nothing more to add. I like they're also on my list of the, but like that, you're right with the schedule in there, and so much so I'll add this to it. They have some juicy like 70 to 1s to win the Big 12 and national champions. Like some deep future prices. Might as well sprinkle it. Yeah, sprinkle some pizza money because they have a great chance of just showing up to that game. And if you could tell you right now that for one game you could be sitting on like a plus 2,500 ticket or something for them.
Exactly
you
right.
Can hedge out. You can do whatever you want.
Everyone knows that listens to this podcast knows that I put a lot of value in a fucking value bet. That is a value bet for them to win the Big 12. Listen, Texas is clearly the most talented team in that conference, but come on.
They are Texas.
You've learned. You've learned. Texas fans, you know.
I know.
If you search your soul, Texas, you might be like this the year, but as soon as they have that one game, you're like, here we go again. So yeah, Oklahoma State.
Which they're bound to do. Texas is bound to Texas. So, yeah.
Texas, go Texas.
Yeah.
All right,
So I look.
number one, this is the one. If you could bet
Yep.
on one team that's going to get it done, who would it be?
Now I'm going to give you. We've gone nothing but overs. I'm going to go ahead and throw an under at you.
I tried to find an under, but I couldn't. But go ahead. One that I like my top five. Go ahead.
This is an under, and this is a kind of like on your Vandy, where we're taking advantage of not taking advantage of Vegas so much as taking advantage of Vegas's number for the public perception, where they put up a high number because it's a name brand, and they're not going to come close to that stuff, even though they had a bad year. But yet they've had a bad year last year, and these numbers are still high, and that's the U. Miami. They're over under total are at 7.5. I went up down the schedule. I went down this roster. I went down everything. I barely see being optimistic. I got them going to 6 wins. Getting to 8,
7.5.
Getting to 8 is an impossibility with this fucking team. It's literally an impossibility. They're bringing back a lot of people, but they're bringing back a lot of bad people. They just don't have the talent of what they think they are. And you don't have to get me going on Cristobal, their coach. He's a good recruiter. He has always been a good recruiter. He is horrendous as a head coach. Listen to this, Bozeman. In the last 21 games that he's been favored from 1 to 9 points, they've lost 8 of those outright, and then haven't covered the spread in the other half. In the other half, they covered like 2 of them of 21. Lost outright.
So they're
9-point favorites or less.
They're 2-19 when they're favorites from 1 to 9 points.
Yes.
And they've lost 8 of those games outright. So just from that alone puts them in automatic fade list.
Yeah.
Puts them in automatic fade list. Like last year, I just had my prop bet last year in the NFL. I was like, Graham Gano over 1.5 field goals for the New York Giants. I just bet it every week because I know that the Giants were going to stall. Like their offense was going.
Yeah.
They're going to get to the 20, the 30-yard line.
I like that.
And then he do it. Like that was like but yeah, if someone shows you a pattern and they don't change anything, is what I always say.
Right.
You show me who you are.
Believe them.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm with it.
And even I was just saying, even the wins that you want to put them on paper, it'll be Boston. Like even then, that's like the end of the season in Boston. Like they're not even going to want to. There's a chance they might. We're not showing up to that goddamn game, and that's if they're sitting at 5 wins, which I think they might be. But they have to hold on to Cristobal at that point because they just signed them. They could tank this thing for 4 or 5 wins, let alone 8. I mean, forget about getting to 8.
Yeah. My number one is you said it earlier, and it's my number one, and I had it, and we have chatted before. It's the Badgers. So I started doing stand-up in Wisconsin. I went to college, Wisconsin Whitewater. I'm just entwined in Wisconsin, so I know. Yep. I also know that when Brett Bielema left them for Arkansas, that the Badgers have really been scrambling and not getting the coach what they wanted. And then lo and behold, they had a home run.
I don't know how they landed this. I still don't know how they landed Fickle.
Because it's almost like a sideways move.
Right. Yeah, for him. Exactly.
Right.
He had Cincinnati in the playoffs.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, he's the head coach of Cincinnati, and he did fantastic with less talent. The Badgers have always recruited well because people know in Wisconsin that if high school students know that if I'm an offensive lineman, I got a chance to make it to the league. If I am a running back, I got a chance to make it to the league. If I'm a linebacker, I got a chance to make it to the league. They got plenty of those dudes. Their schedule, to what you said, is beyond less than. I mean, it's way above favorable.
Yes, and even the games they got with their Ohio State, I believe they're getting them after they play like Penn State too. They're getting them on letdown weeks too. Like
this kid
set up
easily be an 11-1 team.
Yes.
And what gets me the most is they signed this dude early. He wasn't like a late ad and he missed who are we going to be as our coach? They got this dude early, so we got to practice with him early, and they bring him back like 18 fucking starters.
I know.
And the one dude that's not starting used to be a legit big time quarterback that played. So
Mhm.
they're bringing back 18 starters plus a quarterback who's an upgrade. 8.5 wins just seems, I wouldn't surprise me at all if they snuck into the playoffs. I don't quite see them winning, and
No,
they probably have to win a bit, but they could
but
sneak into playoffs. But they should easily get to 10 wins. I
yeah.
mean, that's a 1.5 game cushion, which is a shit ton in college football.
I'm 1,000% behind you. And much like Oklahoma State value play, for them to win the Big Ten, they're plus 750. They're gonna walk to that Big Ten championship game. I mean, who's gonna? I mean, no one's stopping on that side division. Iowa, get out of here.
What do you think?
You're gonna be sitting in that
frat
game.
boy Northwestern is gonna come in and do some damage?
Oh man, I was back in Chicago during that week it happened. What an amazing! What I love that. What real quick about the Northwestern story? What I love about it is they had their scandal, whatever it is. I won't even get into that, but then they do their own investigation, and they come out, all right, Fitzgerald gets 2 weeks. We looked into it. No big deal. Let's move on. Like, yeah, no, your problem, you think you're a football school, Northwestern, and you can just rub shit under it. That's Penn State kind of shit.
Yeah,
No,
right.
you don't win enough for that. No, you're
Right.
a journalism school. You got
Right.
2,000 Woodward and Bernsteins back there that are going to fucking look into this. And then the student newspaper comes out with the real story. Like, yeah, now he knew. It was on the goddamn whiteboard. Fucking naked slingshot and shit.
You can't go 5 wins in 2
Now-
years and be like, it's fine.
Yeah, no.
dude.
1 in 11,
It's
motherfucker. No, absolutely
It's
not.
not fine. It's not fine. And you win your first game of the year, and
Right.
then lose
Oh.
11 in a row.
Good God. Amazing.
Yeah. So for sure. All right, let's do this. You want to do who's your
Heisman's?
Heisman, or you want to do your 4 playoff teams?
My 4 playoff teams, we can do that real quick because that's kind of dull. If you ask me, I mean, my four is dull at least. I think it's going to be, the narrative of these 2 conferences that are becoming college football, where it's going to be 40
Yeah,
and
right.
40 in this monster. And
Sure.
First of all, I mean, Georgia, I don't even know why they're going to play their season. Just write them into the goddamn Final Four. It's impossible for them not to make it.
Georgia, this is the same thing that I was arguing about with Oklahoma State. So everybody's like, the SEC, the SEC, the SEC. How does Georgia not play Alabama, LSU,
I mean,
or Texas A&M?
It's insane.
None of those teams on the schedule.
Get these divisions out of here.
It's like legit.
Right.
How do you
The
how do you
ACC got
not-
rid of divisions. I mean, yeah, it's a joke.
How do you not make the playoffs? All right, keep going. I'm agree with you. Georgia, we agree with.
So I'm going with Georgia, and I'm also going with Alabama, even though they have question marks at quarterback. But this is the team. This is the year where Alabama, when you look down upon them, and they're supposed to, like, not that they're under the radar. I mean, they're the second favorite to fucking make it there, like 7-1. But like,
Right.
you get a more motivated Saban. I think Bama is going to be a real problem, and I like
In my heart of hearts,
Mhm.
I'm not going Alabama just
Yeah.
because I kind of like don't want them to go.
Right.
But if you put a gun in my head, like, I'm gonna pick Alabama every time. If you put
Yeah.
a gun in my head to win a championship, I'm gonna pick Alabama almost
right.
every
It's
time.
a safe bet.
But I'm not
At least
going
proves
with
you're
them,
right.
But
I know people like
Yeah.
LSU this year, and people are hot on LSU, and I do like, and they are good. But first of all, I'm not a gun. If there's a gun to my head, I'd turn it and put it on Kelly. I hate that. I hate Kelly ever since especially when he put that kid up in the scissor lift. Yeah, you're fine. Make sure you film this practice. It's pretty important. Take his family down to Louisiana.
Nothing to see here. All right, so my number 2 team, which I have, I just think that they're due. He's been there a year. I don't think he's going to run back at Heisman, but I'm going to sneak USC in. I'm just going to sneak because people are feeling bad for that conference, and they're probably trying to hold some sort of hope and salvation.
Yep.
Give that. So as a business decision, they're going to keep the USC so they can somehow be like, whatever teams are left, they can be like, the last playoff team came from the Pac-12, even though we know.
That's good.
But
call.
I'm gonna sneak USC, even though
Listen, Lincoln Riley,
No.
Caleb Williams. That's a nice ticket to have at any time. Like they're always live, with those two. I actually think the Pac-12 or Pac-10, whatever, Pac-2, whatever it is going to be good this year. There are actually some really good teams in there. They're kind of were underrated. It's kind of a shame they are breaking up the way they are right now, because this final season, they have like 4 or 5 teams, which I kind of like. That's my only reservation with USC. I think its competition is going to be a little tougher, but with USC, it's going to come down to that Oregon game. And I like Caleb and Lincoln Riley. They'll get there.
Yeah.
Riley will get you there. Like Pat,
Yeah.
he might not he won't finish the job, but he'll get you there.
Yeah, this is the Final Four. This is not the national championship. Who's your other team you got in there? What's next?
So we got Bama, Georgia, and then you gotta go Ohio State, just because the way it sets up for them as well. Even though they also have quarterback issues, but their receivers are just absolutely insane.
You can tell me till you're blue in the face about Georgia being dominant, but if Marvin Harrison does not get hurt, Ohio State is the national champion.
Or if they don't grant him a timeout on that fake punt, the whole thing. I mean, they luck box their way into that victory for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure,
absolutely.
Ohio State. I mean, like, it's one of those teams. Once again, like, there's nothing wrong in college football. College basketball, there's everything wrong with going chalk. In college football, it makes the most sense.
Yes.
But I put my eggs in the basket as my top 5 pick, and I'm gonna go Penn State. I'm gonna go an 11-1 Penn State gets to the playoffs. So I'm going Penn State over Ohio State, and I think Penn State. I think Michigan could beat Ohio State. I think Penn State beats Michigan, and then they run it back. Ohio State might beat Penn State, but if Penn State get them a second time in a Big Ten champion, or no, they wouldn't even play in the Big Ten championship.
Right.
But if they all 3 teams could be 11-1.
Yes, and that's what
all 3 teams could be 11-1. But I think Penn State's defense is so good that they won't ever get blown out.
I love it,
and that's gonna be the kicker. So I'm going Penn State.
And that is their road. That's their avenue to do it. Like, Ohio State beats Penn State. Penn State beats Michigan. Michigan beats Ohio State. And it kind of swerves around. And then the team that avoids that Big Ten championship game gets into the BCS. And I think that's a good route for Penn State.
Exactly right. All right. Who's your last team?
Now I'm going to throw a wild card in there. And I was going to put Michigan in it to be dull, but fuck Harbaugh. Although how hilarious is that the NCAA suspending him for like buying a player a cheeseburger or something in the days of NIL, where kids are getting $1 million deals. The NCAA has to remind us, hey, don't forget, we can be idiots. We're jerks too. We have to remind you, like, what are you doing?
I just think that when you become flippant and you just throw it in their face, like, it's just like,
right.
No, I'm not going to walk. I'm not going to arrest you for jaywalking. But if you walk past a police officer, you're like, fuck you, pig. And you just, like,
spit. Well, now I got to do something.
I got to do something. So Harbaugh was just too flippant with it. But yeah.
I like it. Hey, I know. I like that. I like that angle.
It's horseshit.
It is absolute horseshit. And fuck the NCAA for making Harbaugh look sympathetic. I don't want him to be a victim. Piece of shit.
You never feel sympathetic for a dude that just has a closet full of Dockers.
Right.
Never. Just no, that's your rule. Number 1.
What is that
number 1? But
the last 4 to sneak in there, and it's kind of a.
That was your last thing. It was.
I was going to say Michigan, but I'm not going to take it. I'm going to throw him a wild card in there just to open up the door for my Heisman. Is going to say. Play off your USC play. I think that conference is going to come down to the USC Oregon game, and if Oregon wins it, which I think they will, I'm going to put Oregon in that BCS there.
So you have Oregon,
Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State.
Alabama, Ohio State, and I have Georgia, I have USC, I have Penn State, and I'm going your top 5 lock, Clemson. I
like that.
Listen, if Clemson can go 11-1 and win the ACC, but I do think that they'll beat Notre Dame. I think they'll revenge, and I do think they'll beat Florida State, and that's really their only two losable games. So if you win those two games, this is how I look at Clemson.
And they're at home, like I said, in North Carolina, and all three of them are at home.
This is how I look at Clemson. You just got to go 2-0.
Yeah, right.
If you go 2-0, you are in the playoffs. Even if they slip up and lose to North Carolina, but if they beat Clemson and if they beat Notre Dame and they beat Florida State and 11-1 and win the ACC, they're in.
Then you're right.
They're in the playoffs.
You spend the rest of the 2 months doing baptisms after practice and wiping the floor with your Wake Forest of the world.
Exactly right. All right.
Right.
All right. Last but not least, who you got winning the Heisman? The Oregon. You got the Oregon guy.
I got a couple plays there for Oregon for you, if you want. I'll throw out a couple at you guys.
All right, go ahead.
I mean, these are more bets than I think who's going to win it. Because I don't like Caleb to repeat. I mean, at that number at least, because he's like 5-1 or something sick. But Bo Nix, a quarterback at Oregon, who's been
thought about him.
He's at 20
former Auburn guy.
Yeah, former Auburn guy, and not as they liked him early on. Then he obviously fell out at Auburn. It's a different world down there. We understand what happens down there in Alabama, and like now and up in Oregon, he flourished last year, and they're good, and they're a good team. And like I said, and they'll be in a position. Right. And I think that, like you said, with that narrative, with that Pac-10, the division that's going away, that's crumbling, and the Heisman is a narrative-driven award, like anything else. So
yeah, I mean, you could easily say Caleb Williams, but the fact that there hasn't been a repeat Heisman Trophy guy since Archie Griffin in the mid 70s, I'm just going to take 50 years of history and fade them.
That's all.
Right? Just 50.
That's all you got on your side.
I think I know who the quarterback is for Georgia, but I'm going to say whoever.
Carson Beck.
All right. Great, Carson Beck. Sure.
Yeah,
you could say C.J. Sullivan, whoever is the quarterback for Georgia. I can't believe how easy of a schedule that they have, and he's going to put up monster numbers. And they are. If there's any team in college football that's going undefeated, and the fact that quarterback that was 33 years old just left, that's in Bennett. And now they got a new quarterback. So
who's older somehow, I think.
Right. Stetson Bennett's uncle is going to come in and do work. He's going to come in and do work. He's going to put up monster numbers in what is a cakewalk schedule. And the fact that he's going to have monster numbers, and they will more than likely be the only undefeated team that's in there. Possibly Clemson, who would be my number 2 guy,
right?
The quarterback from there. Done for whatever reason, like we have just decided that quarterbacks are the MVPs and the Heisman Trophy. That's just the way.
Yeah, and much like our value play, of the Wisconsin and whatever, Oklahoma State.
Exactly right. Wisconsin running back too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Carson Beck, Georgia quarterback. He's going to New York. Like you're sitting, you got a ticket on him. He's in New York. He's one of the finalists. I mean, that's just going to happen. So I see him at 11-1. That's a great play.
So that's it. But
if you wanted to throw a dart on a non-quarterback, I know how you mentioned, it is a quarterback thing, but I think if there is one guy who would be a non-quarterback, I see him at 80-1 right now for a little dart throw, and that's the tight end there, Georgia, Brock Bowers. They love him. He's like this, they say he's like this generational athlete, whatever. Like he's going to be one of those guys. And if you do the narrative, you will like the Georgia, he might get himself to New York because they mix things up and have one non-quarterback to do a little profile.
Yeah, if I had to go with a non-quarterback, I would go with the Wisconsin running back.
Yeah,
I would go.
Running backs are definitely with him. And also quick shout out, didn't make the list. Michael Penix, a quarterback for Washington, who's in his 8th year. He played like 5 years in Indiana somehow. This is his 3rd year in Washington. Like, what the hell is going on?
I get that you get a break from a COVID year, but you guys are getting they're getting all the breaks.
He went from Michael Penix Jr. to senior during his college career. He already graduated. They had to change his jersey name. He's already a senior because his kids are having kids at this fucking point.
All right, so thank you for joining us, my guy. Man in the Box.
Bottom line bombs is the official name. Man in the Box underneath it on the SGPN Sports Gambling Podcast Network.
Love it, love it, love it. And where can we find you on the road doing stand-up, which is,
I'll be
by the
well,
way, so fucking underrated and funny. And I wish you'd have never left Chicago, but I totally get it.
thank you, sir. I will be actually when this comes out, I'll be at Wise Guys in Salt Lake City. I believe that end of the weekend, and then I'll be up in Edmonton, up at the House of Comedy in September 10th that weekend, week 1 of the NFL season.
Yes, sir. CJ Sullivan, one of the best in the game. Thanks, homeboy.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Bozeman. Always a good time, and I'm glad to see the progression of the ball hog now give and go. You allow a
Give and go. The Boze knows. This is
The Boze
still
knows.
a ball. This is still a ball hog
Right.
production.
Yeah.
Give and go. I still will take your questions and answers. And it is still a ball hog production, but I just want to let people know that I'm having way more guests now. So I'm not really hogging the ball. I'm sharing a rock a little bit.
Once you see those metrics, like, fuck, I need someone else to share this on social medias. Bring in a guest that's got something. God damn.
Right? Listen, Jordan didn't become Jordan until Pippen grew into Pippen. So you got to realize, got to know your strengths and weaknesses. All right, homeboy. Be good.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks,
Yep.
man.
Yep. Peace.